The great hall of the Galactic Council stretched out like a silver ocean under artificial stars. Hundreds of beings from across the galaxy sat in floating seats that moved gently through the air. The smell of different worlds mixed together. Sweet flowers from Altara, sharp metal from the Korathian ships, and the clean water scent of the Zephyrian delegates. Ambassador Veltar stood at the center of the hall. His blue skin glowed softly as he spoke to the gathered representatives. His people, the Zephyrians, had been at war with the Korathians for 3 full cycles now. In the Great Hall, this was considered a terrible and long conflict. "Honored council members," Veltar said, his voice carrying clearly through the translation. "Devices that all beings wore. I come before you today to report on the continuing war between our peoples and the Korathian Empire." A low sound of concern moved through the hall. War was the most serious thing the galaxy knew. It had rules. It had honor. It had limits that all civilized beings respected. Veltar touched a control on his wrist, and the air above him filled with moving pictures made of light. The images showed space battles between sleek ships. Blue energy beams shot between them, in careful patterns. Ships moved in perfect lines like dancers in an ancient ceremony. "As you can see," Veltar continued, "the Korathian forces attacked our outer defense platform at Zarian Prime yesterday. They destroyed 2 of our patrol ships and damaged our communications array." The pictures showed the attack. The Korathian ships approached slowly, announcing their presence with bright signals. The Zephyrian defenders moved into position, forming neat battle lines. Energy weapons fired back and forth in controlled bursts. When a ship was hit enough times, it would stop fighting and move away. Its crew would be picked up by medical ships from both sides. Council leader Thexara, an ancient being whose species looked like walking trees, leaned forward in her floating chair. "What were your losses, Ambassador?" 17 warriors gave their lives for the defense," Veltar said sadly. "And the Korathians lost 12 of their brave soldiers." The station commander reported that both sides fought with great honor. More sounds of concern echoed through the hall. 17 deaths in a single battle was considered massive by galactic standards. Some species had not lost that many people. To war in 100 cycles. The pictures changed to show ground fighting on a planet's surface. Soldiers in bright armor marched across open fields toward each other. They carried weapons that glowed with energy, but they fired warning shots first, giving their enemies time to take cover. When someone was hit by a weapon, they would fall down and be carried away by medical teams. The fighting stopped every few hours so both sides could rest and eat. "The ground campaign on Theta 7 continues," Veltar explained. "General Crixon leads our forces with wisdom and follows all the rules of engagement. The Korathians fight bravely, and we respect their courage." Ambassador Zeothak of the Korathian Empire rose from his seat. He was tall and covered in gray scales that caught the light. His people were proud warriors, but they fought with the same honor as all galactic civilizations. "The Zephyrians speak truly," Zothek said in his deep voice. "Our forces met in battle at the Crimson Valley yesterday. It was a fierce fight that lasted 4 hours. We followed all proper forms of combat. 23 warriors from both armies now rest in the halls of honor." The council members nodded seriously. 23 deaths in 4 hours of fighting was almost unthinkable. It meant the war was getting worse. "Have either side considered asking for peace talks?" asked Council Leader Thexara. "We are willing to discuss terms," Veltar said. "But the Korathians still hold our colony world of New Altara. Honor demands we continue until they withdraw. And we cannot leave New Altara while Zephyrian ships threaten our supply lines to the Outer Rim," Zothek replied. "Our ancestors would curse us if we showed such weakness." This was how galactic war worked. Both sides had reasons to fight. Both sides followed ancient rules about how fighting should be done. They announced their attacks. They fought only against military targets. They never hurt civilians. They stopped fighting to let medical teams help the wounded. They buried their dead with honor and respected their enemies. The Council had seen thousands of such wars over the millennia. They usually lasted a few cycles and ended when both sides got tired or found a way to share what they were fighting over. The longest war in galactic history had lasted 20 cycles and killed almost 3,000 beings across 12 star systems. The Council offers its services for peace negotiations, Dixara announced. We will send mediators to help both sides find honor in ending this conflict. We thank the Council for its wisdom, both ambassadors said together. Bowing slightly. As the formal session ended, delegates began talking in small groups. They discussed the war with serious faces. Some had fought in wars themselves and shared stories of battle. Others talked about sending medical supplies or food to help the wounded soldiers from both sides. None of them knew that far away. At the edge of their galaxy, strange ships were moving through space. These ships were dark and silent. They carried beings who had never heard of the rules of engagement. These beings came from a small yellow star, and they called themselves humans. The human ships had detected the energy signals from the Zephyrian-Korathian War. Their instruments showed explosions and weapons fire. Their computers calculated that a major battle was happening. They thought they were seeing genocide, planetary destruction, and the slaughter of millions. Captain Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the UES Endeavour, looking at the data her crew had collected. She saw the energy patterns of the Galactic War, and her face was grim. To human eyes, trained by centuries of real warfare, the signals looked like a civilization under attack. How long until we reach the conflict zone? She asked her navigation officer. 36 hours at maximum burn, Captain, came the reply. Chun nodded. Send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them we've found evidence of a massive military conflict. Request immediate backup and authorization to provide humanitarian aid. The message traveled through human space networks, reaching Earth and the other human worlds. Military leaders saw the data and agreed with Chun's assessment. A peaceful civilization was being destroyed by aggressors. It was humanity's duty to help. Admiral Marcus Torres received the report while reviewing supply lists for the human defense fleet. He looked at the energy readings and tactical analysis. His cybernetic eye, a replacement from the Titan mining wars, glowed softly as it processed the information. Prepare the Third Fleet for immediate deployment, he ordered. Full combat loadout, we're going to war. Neither Torres nor Chun knew they were about to make first contact with alien civilization. Neither knew that what they thought was a brutal attack was actually a carefully controlled conflict with fewer casualties than a busy day in a human emergency room. The galaxy was about to learn what real war looked like, and it would never be the same again. Far away in the council hall, Ambassador Veltar was updating his report on battle casualties. 17 dead warriors seemed like such a terrible loss. He could not imagine what it would be like if wars were fought differently, without rules, without honor, without limits. He was about to find out. The human fleet dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Korathian system. Captain Sarah Chun stood on the bridge of the UES Endeavour, watching the tactical displays update with new information. Behind her, 3 more human ships appeared in flashes of blue light, the destroyers UES Retribution and UES Defiance, and the medical ship UES Mercy. What do you see out there, Lieutenant Park? Chun asked her sensor officer. Lieutenant Park frowned at his screens. Captain, I'm reading multiple ships in the system, but something's wrong with the tactical data. The energy signatures don't match what we expected. Chun walked over to look at the displays herself. The human computers had been tracking the war signals for days, expecting to find burning planets and desperate battles. Instead, the sensors showed something very different. Those ships aren't fighting, Park continued. I don't know how to describe it. They're moving in formation, but it looks more like a parade than a battle. On the main screen, the image cleared to show the space around Korathia Prime. Dozens of alien ships moved through space in perfect lines. Sleek blue vessels with the curved shapes that marked Zephyrian design faced off against the angular gray ships of the Korathian Empire. But instead of the chaos of battle that humans expected, both fleets moved like dancers following ancient steps. Captain, called Communications Officer Torres, I'm picking up transmissions between the alien fleets. They're announcing their attack plans to each other. Chun blinked. They're what? Listen to this. Torres played the intercepted signals through the bridge speakers. The universal translator, designed by human scientists to handle any language, struggled with concepts it had never encountered. Attention Korathian vessels, came a calm voice speaking in what the computer identified as Zephyrian. This is Battle Group 7. We will begin our attack run on your outer defensive line in 10 of your time units. Please prepare your response. Formations. Acknowledged, Zephyrian Fleet, replied a deeper voice marked as Korathian. We will engage your forces with honor. Our defensive pattern Delta 7 is ready. The human bridge crew looked at each other in confusion. Chun had fought in 3 different human conflicts before taking command of the Endeavor. She had seen real war where enemies tried to kill each other without warning, where surprise attacks happened in the middle of the night, where victory meant destroying your enemy completely. Are we sure we translated that correctly? She asked. Computer confirms the translation, Captain, Torres replied. They're literally telling each other when and how they plan to attack. On screen, the alien fleets began what they called combat. The Zephyrian ships moved forward in a straight line, their weapons glowing with blue energy. The Korathian defenders arranged themselves in a careful pattern and waited. When the 2 groups got close enough, energy beams shot back and forth between them, but the weapons seemed designed to miss more than hit. When a shot did connect with a ship, the vessel would stop fighting and move away. Other ships from both sides would approach the damaged craft and help rescue its crew. Captain Chun, said Lieutenant Park quietly, in the last hour of this battle, they've had exactly 3 casualties, total, from both sides. Chun felt a chill run down her spine. Human wars were measured in thousands or millions of dead. The Battle of Europa, where she had earned her first command, killed over 50,000 people in a single day. What she was watching wasn't war as humans understood it. It was something else entirely. Open a channel to the alien fleets, she ordered. Channel open, Captain. Chun took a deep breath. This was humanity's first contact with alien life, and she wanted to get it right. Attention alien vessels. This is Captain Sarah Chun of the United Earthship Endeavor. We received your distress signals and have come to offer assistance in your conflict. The space around Korathia Prime went silent. Both alien fleets stopped their careful battle and turned toward the human ships. For several minutes, no one responded. Finally, a Korathian voice came through the speakers. Unknown vessels, please identify yourselves. We do not recognize your ship designs or your language patterns. We are humans from the planet Earth, Chun replied. We detected signs of warfare in this system and came to help stop the fighting. Again, silence. Chen could almost feel the confusion from the alien ships. There is no distress here, the Korathian voice said carefully. We are engaged in honorable combat with the Zephyrian Empire. This is a formal war, conducted according to all galactic laws. Chun looked at her crew. Formal war? Are you under attack? Do you need military assistance? Attack? The word seemed to confuse the translator. We do not understand this term. In this context, we are fighting the Zephyrians according to the rules of engagement. All proper forms are being followed. Lieutenant Park pulled up the translation database. Captain, I think their word for attack means something different from ours. The computer is having trouble with a lot of their military terms. A new voice joined the conversation. This one marked as Zephyrian. Unknown humans, we greet you in peace. We are curious about your presence here. From what star system do you come? Earth, in the Sol system, Chun replied. We're explorers and peacekeepers. When we detected war in this region, we came to help end the violence. Violence? The Zephyrian sounded shocked. There is no violence here. We conduct ourselves with honor in all things. Perhaps your translation devices are malfunctioning? Chun felt frustrated. You're shooting at each other with weapons. People are dying. How is that not violence? Dying. Both alien voices spoke at once, filled with confusion and what sounded like horror. The casualties, Chun explained. The people killed in the fighting. A long pause followed. When the Korathian spoke again, his voice was very careful. Humans of Earth, we think there is a great misunderstanding. In this battle today, no one has died. 2 Zephyrian pilots and 1 of our gunners were injured when their ships were disabled. They are receiving medical care and will return to duty in a few days. Chun stared at the display showing dozens of ships exchanging weapons fire. No one has died in an entire day of fighting. Death in warfare was outlawed by the Galactic Council over 3,000 cycles ago, the Zephyrian explained as if talking to a child. Only barbarians kill in combat. We are civilized beings. The human crew exchanged looks of disbelief. Chun tried a different approach. Then why are you fighting at all? To resolve our territorial dispute, the Korathian answered. The Zephyrians claim rights to the new Altara system. We disagree. So we fight according to the ancient laws until one side proves their worth and gains honor in victory. And how do you decide who wins if nobody dies? Asked Chun. When one side's ships are all disabled or when both sides become too tired to continue, the Zephyrian said. Then the Council of Elders meets to decide who fought with greater skill and honor. The winner gets what they fought for. Chun sat down heavily in her captain's chair. Humanity had spent thousands of years learning how to kill each other more efficiently. They had developed weapons that could destroy entire planets. They had fought wars that lasted decades and killed millions. And here were alien civilizations that had somehow made war into a sport with rules and referees. Captain, Torres whispered. Incoming transmission from Admiral Marcus Torres of the human fleet. Chun's stomach dropped. Admiral Torres was a veteran of the Titan mining wars where human corporations had fought over asteroid mining rights using weapons that could crack moons in half. If he was coming here expecting a real war, put him through, she said quietly. The Admiral's scarred face appeared on the screen. His cybernetic eye glowed red as it processed the tactical data from Chun's ship. Half his jaw had been replaced with metal after a bomb explosion during the Proxima campaign. Captain Chun, Torres said in his rough voice, I'm reading alien. Ships in the area but no signs of the massive warfare your initial report described. What's the situation? Before Chun could answer, the alien communications picked up Torres's transmission. Both fleets went completely silent when they saw the Admiral's face. The sight of a warrior who actually bore the scars of real combat shocked them into stillness. By the sacred stars, whispered the Korathian commander, what manner of being is this? What terrible battles has he fought to bear such wounds? Admiral Torres looked at the alien ships on his own displays, then back at Chun. Captain, why are those ships moving so slowly? And why aren't they targeting each other's weapons or engines? Chun realized that humanity was about to learn they were alone in the universe in ways they had never imagined. They were the only species that had learned to make war into an art of destruction, and the galaxy was about to learn what real warriors looked like. Admiral Marcus Torres arrived at the Korathian system 3 days later with 5 more human ships. His flagship, the UES Thermopylae, was a heavy cruiser built for real war. Its hull was scarred from previous battles and its weapons could punch holes through small moons. Captain Chun met with the Admiral aboard his ship. The meeting room was simple and efficient, like everything else in the human military. Torres sat across from her, his cybernetic eye glowing softly as it processed data feeds from across the fleet. So let me understand this, Torres said, his voice rough from old injuries. These aliens have been fighting for 3 years, and their total casualties are less than what we lose in a training accident. That's correct, sir, Chun replied. They seem to treat war like a game with rules. No one tries to actually destroy their enemies. Torres shook his head. And they think we're the strange ones. Through the meeting room's window, they could see the alien fleets still conducting their careful battles. Zephyrian and Korathian ships moved in slow, predictable patterns, firing weapons that seemed designed more for show than destruction. Sir, Chun said carefully, I think we need to be very careful here. These beings have never seen real warfare. If they see what our ships can actually do, They might panic and unite against us, Torres finished. I know, but Chun, look at this. He brought up a holographic display showing the tactical analysis of the alien ships. Their weapons are toys. Their armor couldn't stop a human handgun. Their tactics are from some ancient ceremony book. Chun studied the display. The human computers had been analyzing the alien technology for days. The results were disturbing. The alien ships were beautiful and advanced in many ways, but they were not built for real war. Their weapons were weak, their shields were decorative, and their hulls were designed more for appearance than protection. Sir, what if they never learned to build real weapons because they never needed them? Chun asked. Torres was quiet for a moment, thinking. That would mean we're the only species in the galaxy that knows how to actually fight. And that makes us very dangerous to them, Chun said. A communication alert interrupted their conversation. Admiral, came the voice of communications officer. Davis, we're receiving a transmission from the Zephyrian fleet. They're requesting a meeting. Put it through, Torres ordered. The holographic display changed to show Ambassador Veltar, the same Zephyrian who had spoken to the Galactic Council days earlier. His blue skin seemed pale, and his large eyes were wide with something that looked like fear. Honored humans, Veltar said, his voice shaking slightly, we request permission to speak with your leaders. We have many questions about your people and your military capabilities. Torres looked at Chun, then back at the display. I'm Admiral Torres, commander of this fleet. What do you want to know? Admiral Torres, Veltar said, studying the human's scarred face. Forgive our curiosity, but your appearance suggests you have been injured in combat. How is this possible? Do your people not follow the rules of engagement? Rules of engagement? Torres repeated. In war, the only rule is to win. The alien's face went even paler. Win? But what about honor? What about giving your enemies a chance to fight back? What about protecting the innocent? We protect the innocent by ending wars as quickly as possible, Torres said. And we give our enemies every chance to surrender before we destroy them. Destroy them? Veltar whispered. You mean you actually kill your enemies? Torres nodded. If they won't surrender, yes. The transmission went quiet for almost a minute. When Veltar spoke again, his voice was barely audible. How many beings have died in your wars? Torres thought about the question. In the last major human conflict, the Titan mining wars, we lost about 2 million people over 5 years. Veltar made a sound that the translator couldn't process. It might have been a scream. 2 million? The alien finally managed to say, in one war? That was a small war by our standards, Torres said honestly. The Great Pacific War in our history killed over 60 million humans. The communication ended abruptly. Torres and Chun could see the Zephyrian ships moving away from the human fleet at high speed. Sir, Chun said, I think we just terrified them. Good, Torres replied. Maybe now they'll take us seriously. But within hours, both alien fleets had stopped their careful battle and were moving toward the human ships. Chun received a transmission from Commander Zuthak of the Korathian forces. Humans, Zuthak said, his voice formal and challenging. We have discussed your claims with our war leaders. We do not believe that any civilized beings could conduct warfare as you describe. We think you are trying to frighten us with lies. Torres joined the conversation. I assure you, Commander, everything we told you is true. Then prove it, Zuthak said. If humans are such mighty warriors, show us your abilities in honorable combat. We challenge you to a formal battle according to galactic law. Chun looked at Torres with alarm. Sir, they don't understand what they're asking for. No, they don't, Torres agreed. Then he smiled, and it was not a pleasant expression. Commander Zuthak, are you formally challenging the human fleet to combat? I am, Zuthak replied proudly. Let us see if your boasts match your abilities. Torres looked at his tactical displays. The combined alien fleets had about 40 ships. His human force had only 8 vessels, but each one was a real warship, built by a species that had been perfecting the art of destruction for thousands of years. Very well, Torres said. We accept your challenge. What are the rules? Simple, Zothek explained. Our fleets will meet in open space. We will fight until one side's ships are all disabled or surrender. No weapons that can destroy planets are allowed. No targeting of medical ships. All crews must be rescued if their ships are disabled. Torres nodded. Agreed. When do we begin? In 1 hour, Zothek said. We will meet at the coordinates I am sending you now. May honor guide us all. The transmission ended. Torres immediately called his ship commanders to a meeting. Listen carefully, he told them. These aliens have never seen real combat. They think war is some kind of sport. We're going to show them what human military doctrine looks like, but we're going to be very careful not to actually kill anyone. Captain, Elena Vasquez of the UES Retribution raised her hand. Sir, how do we fight a real battle without killing anyone? We target their engines and weapons only, Torres explained. Our weapons are so much more powerful than theirs that we can disable their ships without destroying them. Think of it as a training exercise, but with live targets. Chun spoke up. Sir, what if this demonstration causes a panic? What if they decide we're too dangerous and try to destroy us? Torres looked out at the alien fleets preparing for battle. Chun, look at their ships. Look at their weapons. They couldn't destroy a human cargo hauler if they tried. No, this demonstration will show them exactly what they're dealing with, and hopefully it will convince them to never fight us again. An hour later, the two fleets faced each other in empty space. The alien ships formed their traditional battle lines, beautiful and precise. The Zephyrians took the left side, their blue hulls gleaming in the starlight. The Carathians held the right, their gray vessels arranged in perfect formation, the human. Ships spread out in a loose formation that looked chaotic to alien eyes, but was actually a complex tactical pattern, developed through centuries of real warfare. Human fleet, Zothek transmitted. Are you ready to begin? Torres looked at his tactical display. His targeting computers had already identified the weak points on every alien ship. His weapons were charged and ready. His crews were at battle stations, trained and experienced in real combat. We're ready, Torres replied. Then let the battle begin, Zothek announced. May the strongest prove their worth. The alien ships began their attack, moving forward in the same slow, predictable patterns they had used against each other. Their weapons charged slowly, giving their enemies plenty of time to prepare defenses. Torres watched them approach and shook his head. Then he gave the order that would change galactic civilization forever. All ships, engage. Show them what real war looks like. The human fleet opened fire. The battle lasted 14 minutes and 23 seconds. When the human ships opened fire, the galaxy learned what the word overwhelming truly meant. The UES Retribution fired first, its main guns sending streams of plasma that moved faster than the alien ships could react. The energy beams struck 3 Corthine vessels at once, cutting through their shields like they were made of paper and disabling their engines in single shots. Commander? Zothek watched from his flagship as his carefully arranged battle formation fell apart in seconds. The human weapons were not like anything in the galactic databases. They did not fire slowly or announce their targets. They struck with surgical precision, hitting exactly where they needed to disable enemy ships without destroying them completely. Impossible, Zothek whispered as he watched the UES Defiance spin through space, firing in multiple directions at once. The human ship moved like a living thing, dodging the slow alien weapons while its own guns found their targets with terrifying accuracy. The Zephyrian fleet tried to help their Corothian allies, but they faced the same devastating efficiency. Admiral Torres had positioned his ships perfectly, using tactics that the aliens had never seen before. While alien fleets fought in straight lines and predictable patterns, the humans moved in 3 dimensions, appearing where their enemies least expected them. Captain Elena Vasquez commanded the UES Retribution with the cold efficiency of someone who had fought in real wars. Her ship's tactical computer identified weak points on alien vessels faster than the aliens could even aim their weapons. When she fired, enemy ships stopped working. When she moved, she was already planning her next 3 attacks. Target the Korathian heavy cruiser, she ordered her weapons officer. Hit their main gun and engine block. Make it clean. Aye, Captain. Firing, the Retribution's weapon spoke again, and the Korathian flagship suddenly found itself drifting powerless in space. Its shields had been stripped away so quickly that the crew barely had time to realize they were under attack. Aboard the Zephyrian command ship, Ambassador Veltar stood frozen in horror as he watched the human demonstration. This was not war. As his people understood it, this was something else entirely. The humans moved with purpose and skill that seemed impossible. They struck without warning, showed no mercy, and fought with a coordination that suggested they had been born for a battle. How many ships have we lost? Veltar asked his tactical officer. 12 disabled in the first 5 minutes, sir. The humans have not destroyed any vessels, but they have made them completely helpless. And our weapons? Our weapons cannot penetrate. Their shields, sir. Their defensive technology is as advanced as their offensive capabilities. Veltar watched as another group of Zephyrian ships tried to surround the UES Thermopylae, Admiral Torres's flagship. The aliens thought they could use their numbers to overwhelm the single human vessel. They were wrong. Torres had fought in the Battle of Europa, where human fleets had faced off against each other with weapons designed to crack planets. He had learned tactics in wars where losing meant the complete destruction of your civilization. Fighting against aliens, who treated war like a ceremony, was like competing in a children's game, the Thermopylae's point defense. Systems activated as the alien ships approached. Hundreds of small weapons tracked every incoming shot and destroyed them before they could hit. At the same time, the ship's main guns fired with the precision of a surgeon's blade, cutting through alien formations and leaving disabled ships in its wake. This is not combat, Torres said to his bridge crew as he watched the tactical display. This is target practice. But even as the human ships dominated the battle, Torres was careful to follow the aliens' rules. No ship was completely destroyed. No crew was left to die in space. When a human weapon disabled an alien vessel, human rescue ships immediately moved in to help the survivors. The aliens had never seen anything like it. The humans fought with brutal efficiency, but they also showed unexpected mercy. They could have destroyed every alien ship in minutes, but instead they chose to disable them and save their crews. Commander, Zothek found himself floating in an escape pod after his ship was disabled. A human rescue shuttle approached, and he expected to be taken prisoner or executed. Instead, human medics helped him aboard and immediately began treating his injured crew members. "Why do you help us?" he asked the human doctor who was bandaging his wounds. "We attacked your fleet." The doctor, a woman named Sarah Kim, looked at him with tired eyes that had seen too much war. "Because that's what civilized people do," she said. "We fight when we have to, but we don't let people die when we can save them." Zothek did not understand. In galactic warfare, enemies helped each other because the rules said they should. But these humans helped because they chose to, even though they could have easily destroyed everyone who opposed them. The battle ended when the last alien ship surrendered. 43 alien vessels had been disabled. 0 had been destroyed. The human fleet had not lost a single ship or crew member. Most of the human vessels had not even been hit by enemy fire, but the real impact of the battle was not in the numbers. It was in what the aliens had learned about humanity within hours. Recordings of the battle were spreading across the galaxy. Every civilized species watched in shock as the humans demonstrated military capabilities that seemed like magic. Ships that moved faster than thought. Weapons that struck with perfect accuracy. Tactics that turned 40 ships into helpless targets. In minutes, the Galactic Council called an emergency session. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to discuss what they had witnessed. The great hall that had seemed so impressive before now felt small and fragile compared to what humanity had shown. Council leader Thexara stood before the assembled delegates, her tree-like form trembling slightly. "Fellow beings," she said, "we have learned that we are not alone in our understanding of warfare. Humanity conducts combat in ways that we have never imagined. Ambassador Veltar rose from his seat. His usual calm was gone, replaced by something that looked like fear. Honored Council, I have seen the human capabilities myself. They are not like us. They do not fight for honor or ceremony. They fight to win, and they are very good at it. How good? Asked the delegate from the crystalline worlds. In 14 minutes, 8 human ships disabled 43 of our vessels, Veltar replied. They could have destroyed us all, but they chose to show mercy. I do not think we truly understand what that means. Dr. James Harrison, the human xenobiologist who had been studying galactic culture, was given permission to address the council. He stood at the center of the hall, surrounded by beings who now looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and fear. Honored delegates, Harrison began, I think there has been a great misunderstanding between our species. You see war as a way to resolve disputes with honor and minimal harm. We see war as the last resort when all other options have failed. But your casualties, interrupted the Korathian delegate. You spoke of millions dead. How can you call that civilized? Harrison was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. Because we learned that if you are not willing to pay any price for peace, then peace becomes worthless. We fight terrible wars so that we do not have to fight them again. The council chamber was silent as the aliens tried to understand this concept. For them, war was a game with rules. For humans, war was the complete failure of civilization, something so terrible that it had to be ended as quickly as possible. Are all human warriors like Admiral Torres? Asked Vixara. Torres is one of our best, Harrison admitted. But every human military officer has studied real warfare. We have academies that teach nothing but the science of conflict. We have weapons that can destroy planets, and we have built defenses to stop such weapons. The implications hit the aliens like physical blows. Humanity was not just more advanced in warfare, they were more advanced in a way that the galaxy had never imagined possible. What do humans want from us? Veltar asked quietly. Harrison smiled, and it was a sad expression. The same thing we have always wanted, peace, but now you know what we are willing to do to protect it? The council session ended with more questions than answers. But across the galaxy a new understanding was taking hold. Humanity was not just another species with advanced technology. They were something the galaxy had never seen before, a civilization that had survived learning how to destroy itself, and that made them the most dangerous and the most valuable allies the galaxy had ever encountered. 3 months after the demonstration at Korathia Prime, the galaxy was in chaos. Not the chaos of war as humans understood it, but the chaos of fear spreading through civilizations that had never known true terror. Admiral Marcus Torres stood in his quarters aboard the UES Thermopylae, reading reports from across human space. The communication networks were filled with messages from alien governments. Some wanted to surrender immediately. Others begged for protection. A few demanded that humanity leave their territory and never return, but the most troubling reports came from Dr. James Harrison, who had been monitoring galactic communications from the human embassy on the neutral world of Haven Station. Admiral, Harrison's voice came through the secure channel. We have a problem. Several species are talking about forming a coalition against us. Torres set down his coffee and activated the holographic display. Harrison's face appeared, looking tired and worried. What kind of coalition? Torres asked. The kind that wants to destroy us before we destroy them, Harrison replied. They're calling it the Galactic Defense Alliance. The Korathians are leading it, along with the Mantis Collective and the Iron Stars Republic. Torres frowned. The Mantis Collective controlled 17 star systems, and the Iron Stars Republic had one of the largest fleets in the galaxy. Together with the Korathians and their allies, they could field thousands of ships. How many species have joined? Torres asked. 12 so far, with more considering it, Harrison said. Admiral, they're terrified of us. They think we're going to conquer the galaxy. Are we? Torres asked quietly. Harrison looked surprised. Sir, are we going to conquer the galaxy, Doctor? Because right now we probably could. The question hung in the air between them. Torres had seen the tactical analyses. Human military technology was so far ahead of galactic standards that conquest would be almost trivially easy. A single human fleet could probably defeat the combined forces of a dozen alien civilizations. That's not who we are, Harrison said. Finally, no, Torres agreed, but they don't know that. The conversation was interrupted by an urgent signal from the bridge. Admiral, came the voice of Captain Chun, we're receiving a priority transmission from Earth Command. Put it through, Torres ordered. The hologram changed to show Admiral Sarah Martinez. The head of Earth's Defense Council, her expression was grim. Marcus, she said without preamble, we've intercepted communications indicating that a large alien fleet is moving toward Sol System. Intelligence estimates 1,200 ships from multiple species. Torres felt a cold weight settle in his stomach. When will they arrive? 6 days, Martinez replied. We're mobilizing everything we have, but Marcus... They outnumber us 50-1, Harrison looked shocked. They're actually going to attack Earth? They think it's their only chance, Torres said quietly. Strike first, before we can expand? Our forces, he turned back to Martinez. Admiral, what are our orders? Defend Earth at all costs, Martinez said. The Defense Council has authorized the use of any weapons necessary, Torres nodded. He understood what that meant. Humanity's most terrible weapons, the ones they had built during their own wars and hoped never to use again, were being prepared for battle. Understood, Admiral. The fleet is moving to Sol immediately. The human fleet made the journey to Earth in record time, but they were still outnumbered by an overwhelming margin. When they arrived at the edge of the solar system, Torres could see the alien coalition spread across space like a metal storm cloud. The alien fleet was massive beyond imagination. Ships from a dozen different species flew in formations that stretched across millions of kilometers. The Corothian heavy cruisers flew alongside Mantis bioships that looked like giant insects. The crystalline vessels of the Shard Empire glittered next to the dark hulls of the Void Walkers. Commander Zothax's voice came across all communication channels, broadcast to every ship in both fleets. Humans of Earth, he said, his words carrying the weight of desperation. You have shown us the true face of war, and we cannot allow such monsters to exist in our galaxy. We give you one chance to surrender. Leave this system and never return, or we will destroy you. Torres looked at the tactical display showing the positions of both fleets. The aliens had done everything right according to their understanding of warfare. They had superior numbers, they had announced their intentions, and they were giving their enemies a chance to surrender? They had no idea what they were really facing. Open a channel to the alien fleet, Torres ordered. Channel open. Sir. Torres stood straight, his scarred face calm as he addressed the largest military force ever assembled in galactic history. Commander Zothek, he said, I respect your courage in coming here, but you are making a terrible mistake. We did not come to your worlds to conquer, we came to help. We are not your enemies. You are killers, Zothek replied. You wage war. Without honor, without mercy. You spoke of millions dead in your conflicts. We cannot allow such beings to spread across the galaxy. Then you force us to show you why those millions died, Torres said sadly. And why their sacrifice made us? The guardians of peace we are today. Torres cut the communication and turned to his fleet commanders. Captain Chun, Captain Vasquez, and 8 other human officers appeared on his tactical display. You all know what we're facing, Torres said. 1,200 alien ships against our 50. In any normal battle, we would be annihilated. But this isn't a normal battle, Captain Vasquez said quietly. No, it isn't, Torres agreed. These aliens have never faced a species that learned warfare by fighting itself. They don't understand what human military doctrine really means. He paused, looking at each of his captains. These were men and women who had been forged in real conflicts, who understood that in war there was no second place. Earth defense. Command has authorized the use of all available weapons, Torres continued. That includes the Titan crackers. A moment of silence followed. The Titan crackers were humanity's most devastating weapons, designed during the corporate wars to destroy asteroid mining facilities. They could reduce a moon to rubble in minutes. "Sir," Captain Chun said carefully, "if we use those weapons... the galaxy will know that we could have destroyed them all from the beginning," Torres finished, "but we chose not to, until now." The Battle of Seoul began when the alien coalition moved into attack formation. 1,200 ships arranged themselves in the traditional galactic battle pattern, spreading across space in orderly lines. They advanced slowly, giving the human fleet time to prepare their defenses. They had no idea that the human ships were not preparing to defend themselves. They were preparing to demonstrate why humanity had survived its own violent nature, the space around. Earth suddenly came alive with defensive installations that the aliens had never detected. Orbital platforms that had been hidden in the shadows of asteroids revealed themselves, bristling with weapons that could crack planets. Automated defense grids activated, filling space with fields of fire that no conventional fleet could survive. But the most devastating surprise was the human fleet itself. Torres had not brought his ships to Seoul to fight a defensive battle. He had brought them to show the galaxy what happened when humanity stopped holding back. "All ships," Torres broadcast, "engage enemy fleet. Show them why peace is worth any price." The human ships opened fire with weapons the aliens had never seen before. The Titan crackers spoke first, sending streams of energy that could destroy moons. Alien ships simply vanished when the beams touched them. Not disabled or damaged, but completely annihilated. The UES Retribution fired its Nova cannons, weapons that used controlled stellar explosions as ammunition. Entire sections of the alien fleet disappeared in bursts of artificial starlight. The UES Thermopylae activated its singularity projectors, creating miniature black holes that consumed everything in their path. But the most terrifying thing was not the weapons themselves. It was how the humans used them. Every shot was calculated to maximize psychological impact. Every target was chosen to break the enemy's will to fight. The humans were not just winning the battle, they were teaching the galaxy a lesson about the true nature of warfare, Commander. Zothak watched from his flagship as his great coalition fell apart in minutes. Ships that had taken decades to build were erased from existence by weapons that seemed to bend the laws of physics. The careful formations of the galaxy's greatest military force became scattered debris floating in space. "Surrender?" he broadcast desperately. "We surrender. Please stop the killing." The human fleet immediately ceased fire. In the space of 10 minutes, they had destroyed over half the alien coalition while suffering no losses themselves. But when the aliens surrendered, the humans stopped fighting instantly. Torres opened a communication channel to the surviving alien ships. "Commander Zothak," he said, "do you understand now why we value peace so highly? You... You could have done this from the beginning," Zothak whispered. "You could have destroyed us all before we even knew you existed." "Yes," Torres replied, "but that is not who we are. We fight only when we must, and we end fights as quickly as possible." In the aftermath of the Battle of Seoul, the galaxy finally understood what humanity represented. They were not conquerors or destroyers. They were a species that had learned to make war so terrible that no one